Okay, so are we good for that stuff right now?
Yes.
We can get on with the rest of it.
What am I missing again?
I have a question.
Oh, it's all chapter 14 stuff we're missing. And you're not really at the moment. Anything until we go way, terms of names, 14.4.
Now you saw me
Yeah, I
turn
don't
on
know.
mine several times.
Yeah.
So you can't give me any of that.
Actually, no, you got that one, Jeremiah. That was somebody else missed that one. Okay, so we're good.
So I caught up with everything?
Yes.
Am I caught up? Or
As far as
no?
I'm concerned, yeah, you don't have to get everything done. Okay, Anna, what should we die on is, chapter 14 stuff. Okay, we didn't do any of the chapter 14.
I turned all those in.
Everything overrules here. You're the, okay.
Do you need to
Everybody's got the other stuff here.
63 and 4?
Chapter 14. 15, you got everything in, Anna, every last thing.
Yeah, I know.
So no, that's just wrong. So I want you to do all that stuff.
Okay, that is for further in.
That's it.
George, okay, let me go back to that stuff. That covers this one. And then for that one, that covers this one.
Then what else I'm missing?
I won't read that. This is that. So that one, you're in good shape. You're in really good shape. Okay, so everybody's got the time chart, everybody's got 16.1 in. Terms of names, so we're good there. So actually pretty decent shape.
I don't know.
Well, that's good at least, right?
No, actually we're not bad. But I'm just gonna, so there's gonna be, okay, I'm trying to get ready for the, well, one of the things that goes, Miss Ludwig wants every single assignment in.
Yes,
And that's fine
same
with me.
way.
That's fine with me.
But if you're gonna like assign these assignments at least,
At least
because we don't have the worksheet that you was talking
least
about.
it's some-
No, the work, you just handed me in yours. You had them, otherwise you could have handed them in.
I'm talking about other stuff. I'm
Yeah, but
missing.
if you assign them, at least assign them when everyone's here.
You got almost everything in.
Like on front or what?
So your argument kind of going poop because you handed everything in, therefore I handed it out.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, gotcha, okay. So, Anna, you're not in bad shape, okay?
Am I in bad shape?
Yeah, you're in good shape. Man.
Yeah.
No.
It's 'cause
So-
I ate my broccoli.
What I'm going to do from now on to the end of the year is I'm going to do
one
an
worksheet at a
immediate
time.
collection deal. Once we finish something, you give it to me and I enter it immediately. Does that sound
Yes, that is perfect.
Well, that's really time consuming on my part because I don't get to use my Saturdays for that. But I'll do it here because you guys are
What
getting
do you use your Saturdays for anyway?
grade papers.
So what's the point of? how's
You
this
can
any
do
different?
both.
But
Don't
I'll
take
I
up
can
as much time.
anyway. Let's
Ain't
go
gonna
through
be
this
like
one.
all day.
I'm glad I'm not a
Slavery.
teacher. I have to waste my weekends grading.
Well, that's just the way it is. Let's see.
Are you okay, Anna?
Yeah.
Are you okay, sir?
I don't know. Are you okay, sir?
Yes. Oh my! I get to see my cousin
there we
this
go.
weekend.
Okay, so let's get on to worksheet number 3. Now I had that one out to you, right? The Holocaust,
This one?
16 what?
16.3.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're about 2/3 of the way through the. No, we didn't even start this one. This period didn't even start that. So we're on the road.
We caught up with
The
Oh,
Holocaust.
you never will be, dude, because the workability knocks you back.
We're on the Holocaust.
we
right?
never will do.
You'll always be about at least half a day behind them, because they don't have anybody in workability. Okay, it's a different class. Workability knocks us back a bit, because I have to, do a little filler time there.
I heard that they might get rid of workability.
What?
No, they won't.
They're
No.
not getting rid of my job. I get a paycheck, and I am going to.
Yeah, they should get rid of that if the state
No,
really
no,
wants to blow
I'll
its
never
budget.
get a paycheck.
Workability
That's a
keeps the
lie.
state from blowing its budget. Okay.
Well,
I understand that. I really
No,
do.
they'll call it something else. Okay. They'll call it something
I'm
else.
just gonna quit.
Okay, number 1. Okay. Basically, France and Britain didn't accept a whole lot of. First of all, Jews are trying to get the heck out of Dodge. Man, they can smell things coming. 1932, Viva the Jews have done this. The Jews. No, you hear that stuff? It's time to get out. Just like if we had an American president and or the major political party just comes in as a landslide, it would be anti whatever religious or ethnic minority you are. Might be the time to get the heck out of Dodge if you can. Get out, get out, get out. Well, basically, Britain and France did not accept a whole lot of Jews who, had a chance to get out, but didn't make it out. Anti-Semitism, man. It's that old European anti-Semitism. Let's see how we got Semitisms with an E or an A.
What is wrong with Jews? I don't really care.
Nothing wrong with Jews.
They seem nice.
Yeah, because they are.
It's just the religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with their
Are you
religion?
keeping this?
No. Goodbye.
I
Okay.
welcome in all
I'm gonna
religions. Okay, not all religions. Well, all religions are good. I don't care about it because they're good.
No comment there.
Aye. That's mine.
I've never seen a bad religion before. I don't think I want to.
No comment there.
Okay, let's not go. But anyway, anti-Semitism. Basically, they didn't want more Jews. Okay, I mean that's it. They didn't want. They would have got a few. There's been times when England expelled all the Jews, especially when they owed them a lot. See, the thing of it is Jews. If you look at the Old Testament, that's when the Jews run by, you're allowed to loan money for interest. You're supposed to invest. You don't just bury your money in. Excuse me, a second. To not invest your money is
I
actually
thought when you
sin.
get money, you can do what the hell you want. Not nobody saying
Well,
you can do that kind of money.
no. Well, Jews, you're supposed to invest because that's the proper thing to do. It's in the Bible. Okay, it is.
Yeah, but some people don't.
Okay,
Go by the Bible.
okay, that's fine. Now, when you get to the New Testament, there's kind of like a prohibition on loaning money for interest, which contradicts the Old Testament. The New Testament, basically, what it was is the Christian nations couldn't loan money for interest, which means if you can't do that, then you don't loan money, and that means kings can't borrow from anything. Okay, so basically, it's kings like to keep the Jews around to borrow money from them, and then they would pay back.
They're basically using
And sometimes when they borrowed too much money and they were in trouble, they'd expel all the Jews. And I never pay my debts back.
So basically, they're using.
Would be nice if you could just expel the banks when you owe too much money. But it's not just that. It's also
Why can't you just do that?
well, Jews could loan money because their religion allowed them to. Christians could not. However, Christians have done that. They've gotten rid of that little prohibition a long time ago.
I also say,
Okay. Yeah, there's no problem with that now. Okay, no problem with that at all now. Islam does not allow loaning money for, loaning money for interest. Though they managed to find little ways around that. Because you got to do it. You can't have a modern economy without loaning money for interest. You can't do it. I mean, things break down. But anyway, basically, since Europe during the Middle Ages was we'd call it Christian extremism, perhaps. We've got to kill everybody that's not our religion, and they did that. I mean, they wiped out the city of Jerusalem,
Why are we
killed
talking
everybody
about
else.
this?
What?
Why are we talking about this?
Because you had with this anti-Semitism. This is something still around. Okay. Still, it hasn't gone out. Anti-Semitism has not gone away. The Ku Klux Klan, that's one of their targets. Not just African Americans, they've got their targets on those stinking Jews. That's what they call it. Okay? So you have to remember. There are other people out there with crosshairs on their back, okay? Jews have always been one of them. And that's what we get into, the systematic extermination of the Jews. Okay, this is the Holocaust. So anti-Semitism, didn't want them back. And two, the Nuremberg laws. These are laws that were passed in Germany by the Nazis. And basically stripped Jews of German citizenship. Okay? Okay, so
You know that pen
Mm-hmm.
glares with the light.
Oh, I can't tell it from here.
I know you can't. You
Oh,
bright,
no
that's
way.
why.
Yeah, I won't use it for the next one. Okay. Stripped Jews of German system. Okay. Outlawed intermarriage. Okay, so Jews can't marry anybody else. Okay, gotta marry another Jew, can't marry a non-Jew. Okay, and there's more to it, there's more to it. Let's see here. Okay. Took away the rights. Property. And jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you always got to have somebody to hate. And basically, Adolf
Why
Hitler
always?
was a master of let's find somebody to hate, make sure everybody hates him, and in doing that, we'll unite the rest of us behind our hatred for these rather inoffensive people. These people haven't done jack. Okay, they haven't done anything to the Germans.
Oh, you know what? Fine. I see how you are.
In fact, the most anti-Semitic people were the French.
Trying to get this
At the
one.
time. The Germans were. It was kind of a little bit of a surprise that they went so far south.
She made me do. What don't these pretend to win?
Oh, we got, this is going to get ugly. Okay.
I have better color.
Now. I'm gonna finish that one
Color
first.
Delete
No,
something.
I'll finish this one first.
I said it's a butter color.
Okay. Now, basically, the Jews really started to get kicked around here. And one of them, somewhere along the line, has kind of had enough. So in France, basically, he runs into a German a consular official and blows his brains out. All over Germany. I mean, all over Germany. Every single, almost every single Jewish business, synagogue, you know, that's where they worship, like church, they're all destroyed. It's the night of the broken glass, Kristallnacht. Okay? So, basically,
Am I getting up the way, sir?
yes, ma'am. Okay. 100 Jews killed. And 30,000 arrested. $30,000 arrested. What do you think about that? They didn't do anything. Just be Jewish. And you're born a Jew, according to Nazi ideology. So even if your family converted like 50 years ago or 100
Wait, so
years
the
ago,
Jews
you're still
kept them in jail?
Huh?
Wait, so what happened?
Well, they killed about 100 Jews
Oh,
all over Germany and arrested 30,000 of them.
of Jews.
Why?
Why did they?
Dude, you haven't seen what's going to happen yet.
Why do people hate Jews?
You know what? See, don't say that, please, because I don't
No.
have.
Say what? This is history. U.S. history. You're going to get the facts.
But why didn't he arrest him?
Hey, it's better.
It gets worse. It gets a lot worse.
Hey,
That's why I call it the Holocaust.
I think they might be
Okay,
arrested.
now a lot of Jews are trying to get out, but the U.S. is not going to accept very many. Because we're not exactly free of racism or either. Okay? So basically, I'm going to read from the book here. Crystal Night marked a step up in the Nazi policy of Jewish persecutions. Nazis tried to speed Jewish immigration but encountered difficulties. Nazis were just trying to get them all to leave. Jews fleeing Germany had trouble finding nations that would accept them. France already had about 40,000 Jewish refugees and did not want more. So let me put up here, I'm just going to add, France already had 40,000. I'm going to add this one. These are refugees. So they already got some refugees, okay? 40,000, not much. So think of the Syrians right now. They're trying to find a place to get the heck out, and people don't want more.
48,000?
It's about 40,000, okay? Okay. The British, worried about fueling anti-Semitism, refused to admit more than 80,000. So Brits, France already at 40,000. Brits, 80,000. Okay, so and that part there. So, but anti-Semitism is a major reason. And anybody else will let him in. Anybody else will let more in. Okay. Now they allowed another 30,000 to settle in Palestine. Now Israel. Okay. Late in 1938, Germany's foreign minister von Ribbentrop observed, "We all want to get rid of our Jews. The difficulty is that no country more wishes to receive them." Okay. Although the average Jew had little chance of reaching the U.S., persons of exceptional merit, including physicist Albert Einstein, and a few others were allowed in. The U.S. accepted 100,000. Many Americans wanted the door closed. Americans were concerned that letting in more refugees during the Great Depression would deny U.S. citizens jobs and threaten the economy. There was also widespread anti-Semitism and the fear that enemy agents would be allowed to enter the country. Man, this sounds like, right now it's, Syria. Enemy agents will come into the country with the Jews. Okay? So, basically, let's see, how many did we let in? We let in, okay. Okay.
You have to put the A for U.S.
U.S., okay, you got it. Okay, anti-Semitism's also an issue. Okay. Well, the Nazis can't seem to get rid of them, so we'll kill them all. So as as World War II breaks out, and the Nazis conquer country after country, the first thing they're going to do is basically gather up large numbers of people, take them out, and shoot them.
Also, what?
Also anti-Semitism. Okay. Now, the Nazis, the Jews aren't the only ones to worry about. First of all, we're going to get rid of all the gypsies, too. Now, Himmler, the guy who's kind of in charge of all of this, he's going to say, well, we need to keep a few in a zoo or something because they have an interesting lifestyle. But going to get rid of all the gypsies, and let's see, get rid of all the gays. They got to go, too. And all the Jehovah's Witnesses also.
Why?
Well, they don't. Seventh-day Adventists also. They don't. They say God comes first, and then the state, and the Germans not going to put up with that.
No.
A lot of Catholic priests, are going to get the job too. So lots of other groups are going to end up. Oh, also handicapped.
This is.
Handicapped will die. Well, they take resources. They're expensive to take care of.
I know
So-
you hated that too.
Huh?
I know you hated it too. The handicapped, they got to die. All that kind of.
Yeah, I didn't really want to bring that up, but but see, what they did was, let's say you have a kid in a wheelchair, and the Germans, in Germany, they'll come by and they'll say, hey, it's not fair that your child's in a wheelchair here, and in a world that just doesn't fit him. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and put him in a special community where there will be with other people with handicaps. And then you don't really have a choice because we're going to do what's best for the kid, regardless of you. So off we go to a special place for the kid, and then when it's there, get the needle just like the vet. Get the needle, put them down, or sometimes gas chambers. They had little portable gas chambers they bring in, and they're dead. And then a note would go home. Oh, I'm so sorry. We had a diphtheria epidemic come by, and your child passed away. That's the way they do it.
That's a lie.
Huh?
That's a lie.
It's a lie? You think so? Okay, I'm going to expose you to some stuff here.
Okay, so
Okay. But they did do that. They did that to every handicapped.
I know, but say pass away, that's a lie though.
Oh, the pass away is a lie. Yeah, that part's a lie.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought you said what I was telling you is a lie. And I was going, okay, I'm going to have to give you some photographic evidence.
No.
Okay, so we'll leave out the
No.
photographic evidence, okay? I've been trying to do that. Okay. So anyway, let's go. Got all sorts of here. Okay. Let's see, who else? Gypsies. Gotta go bye-bye. The Nazis believed to be an inferior race. Freemasons, I forgot about them. All your Freemasons gotta go bye-bye because they charged as supporters of the Jewish conspiracy to rule the world. Huh? Okay, never mind.
Wait, what?
The Masons, like the guys who put up the Shriners? They gotta go. I'm not kidding. Jehovah's Witnesses who refused to join the army or salute Hitler. Bye-bye. Not kidding. They all gotta go bye-bye. So here's... Do we have that on so I can erase? Everybody has it?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's right. I gotta show you. Now, there's lots of killing groups that just go out and
What you gonna show
in
us the
villages, and basically they just take the Jews out and kill them, or they encourage the local people to do it. Just take them out and kill everybody and toss them in a ditch, pretty much. Some places like the Jews of Kiev, they march all 300,000 people out there, force them to strip naked, and then 300,000. We got huge pictures. Just shows whole ravine just filled with dead bodies. That's
Why do we need to know
300,000 people.
Stop.
Like that.
Just
I'm
stop.
gonna
Sorry,
Right
state
Stop.
standards. So here's how it's done,
Force
though.
them to just
Yeah.
why, dude? Just why?
I'm gonna stop
Because
right there.
clothing is valuable, but this is how far they go. Okay. Now, for most of them, though, you got to do it industrial style. So basically, you got yourself a railway that comes through here. Boom, boom. And the railway goes to, this is how Auschwitz would work. There are some just plain death camps where you go and they exterminate you. But Auschwitz would work this way. So basically people, first of all, people are in the ghettos are over here. The cities, every city that throw everybody into, let's see if I spell it right. Okay. G-H-E, okay. A ghetto. And the old term
I
for
thought
the
there was
Jewish
two
quarter.
T's.
Yeah, it's 2 T's, excuse me. the old term for where the Jewish live in a city and they have to live in different areas is
Oh.
ghetto. Okay, so that's the ghetto, and basically the Jewish population would be there. That's where they're brought in from neighboring villages. So basically, the Jews would be brought in from all over the place to the ghetto, and a lot of them would not survive. You know, they're basically slowly starved, and they're willing to get out of the ghetto if it means resettlement. So boom, we're off to the railroad track. Off we go here. You're packed in railroad cars. Standing room only. And some of those people do not survive that trip. But when you get to the camp, basically they'll have a platform, long platform here. Okay, and people get off. Now those who old folks, when they all stand in line, and old folks go this way. Okay, women with children also go this way. So this is elderly,
And young.
women with small children,
So that's young.
women with kids. Okay, they go this way too. So
How about saying the word children? Because kids is like more preferring like goats.
oh come on, I'll just put kids. You know what I'm talking about.
No.
Okay. Well, that's life. You can buy children if you want.
That's probably
Okay. Healthy. Basically. Healthy adults. The healthy. They go here. Now, the reason why is we've got a nasty piece of thing here. First of all, these folks are going off to this place. Now, this place has basically a couple of rooms. So, basically, the elderly and everybody, they go into this room and take off their clothes so that we might fumigate you, because you have lice and stuff like that. Take off your clothes. If somebody goes, oh, really weird, they'll take them off to the side and off back to a shed. Bang, right there. Okay, there's some, like if I have a woman who's hysterical, realizes what's going on, she's hustled away from everybody else, and okay. But then they go in here, they're forced to disrobe, and then they're packed into the shower. When I mean packed in the shower, it's like standing room
You
only.
go too fast, bro.
Okay.
So
Wait.
Okay, so you take your clothes off, basically.
Okay, so what
wait, time
happens?
out. So they do this with girls as well?
Everybody. Okay? Everybody. I mean, little children, all the little children and everything. Okay? Then you go to your shower. Okay? Now the shower, you can have shower heads up there, but they're not really connected to anything, because once they get packed into this room, there's a guy on top of the vent. He'll open the vent and put in a canister of Zyklon B, which is derived from an insecticide. Puts that in there, and then they spend the next 10, 15 minutes screaming as they're gassed to death. I mean, on the remaining walls of some
Why
of these,
so
you
many
see,
torture?
well, they just kill them. The whole idea is they die.
Why, dogs? Why?
Because this is how you kill people on an industrial scale. Now, when you're dead, you go. When you're dead, you go. They take you to another room right here, and what they'll do over here is, they'll flop the bodies down. They'll shave the hair because the hair is useful. Now, meanwhile, all those people's belongings go into piles. We still have, even to this day, big piles of eyeglasses, big piles of shoes, and big piles of packets of big bags of hair. So they shave the hair because that's useful in making
Don't
ropes
they
and
make the
stuff
hair
like that.
nowadays in the waves?
Yeah, but back then they just use it into industrial products. Then, basically, after they've done that, they'll check their teeth. Any gold teeth gets pulled, and they'll check their orifice, make sure nobody's hidden jewels anywhere, and they do sometimes. That's the way they're doing it. And then you've got the crematoriums right there. So once they kind of process the bodies, you got the crematoriums. So basically, once that's all done, they shove people into the ovens. And they can, Auschwitz was up 28,000 people a day at tops. Okay?
Damn.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. So boom, and then when that's done, you have all this ash for fertilizer, and in some cases, some cases they would use some of the fat drippings to make soap.
I'd rather die in my sleep, man.
Well, they don't really give you that option.
I know it's not.
Okay,
But
now healthy over here,
it's more
basically
relaxing,
slave
man.
labor. Okay, literally slave labor over here. And when you get sick, or
you know, or you've done a certain length of time, you're all kind of run down to start, they'll take the whole batch and off we go here. Now, the people who are doing the stuff in here are what they call Sundra commandos or Cinder soldiers. But basically, they're people allowed to live for a while because they're handling the stuff, so they're allowed a little time. Generally, though, they change them out every 3 weeks. So you do this for about 3 weeks, and then you go into the gas chamber. There are other details I'm leaving out. Now, some of the little kids will be pulled away and will be used for medical experiments. Dr. Mengele did that.
Just
Okay.
stop right there.
Yeah. So can I really gross you out here?
No.
It gets as bad. It's going. Okay. 6 million Jews are exterminated. 6 million. 2 million gypsies. Okay.
Why do you want a
Communists, other people like that, Russian prisoners of war
Why do
are
you,
exterminated.
why do you want
14 million people die in the camps.
Why are gypsies?
There are as many as 10,000 different facilities for using slave labor and extermination centers. 10,000 sites all
But
across
what's
Europe.
the point in all this though? They just want gold or something? What the hell?
No, they want everything to be nice and for racial purity of Germans, the master race. So basically,
So they
Africa,
gotta kill like all the blacks and Jews.
you,
and
everybody, yeah.
No,
All
hold on a
What was
minute.
there?
For a nice all German world.
Well, that's not
That's
gonna
what they're
happen.
looking for.
It's not a world's made.
And they wanted elbow room. They wanted a lot of territory in the east, and they thought we're going to have to kill a lot of Slavs to get there. But Slavs make good farm workers, you know, basically good serfs and slaves. So we're going to turn the Russians into slaves and everything. But we probably have to kill at least 20 million of them to make space there. And the average German knew that. Oh yeah, when you get exposed to this stuff, you go like, holy. This is a true WTF moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is unusual, isn't it?
It's not normal. They kill innocent people like babies,
Oh yeah.
children.
Well, if you're trying to exterminate a race, the whole term for this is called genocide.
I
Genocide
have
You ever
to.
heard that?
is the systematic slaughter of an entire people. We're not talking mass murder, like taking a bunch of POWs out with a machine gun. That's not genocide. We're not talking about just the casual every once in a while nailing somebody.
Is it
We're
nuclear?
talking about the systematic slaughter of people. And we've had several genocides in the 20th century, and we have one in the 21st. The 20th century, we had the Armenian genocide, but the Turks genocided a lot of the Armenians. They won't admit they did it, but in fact, they keep saying anybody who brings it up won't have relations with Turkey. So Obama will
Genocide.
never bring up the word genocide.
Genocide.
Yeah, I know. And the
Genocide.
Turks don't like you then. Then, I'm not kidding, the German genocide. Then we end up with the Cambodian genocide, which was pretty much the people, the rural people, killing all the city dwellers. Okay. Then we have the Rwandan genocide, where the Hutus are going to massacre all the Tutsis. Okay, in Rwanda. Okay, that happened in 1994. Then we have, right now, the term genocide is being used
Right now?
with ISIS slaughtering the Yazidi people. Okay. Because they're not-
Why? Just never mind.
Well, it's called evil, man. Okay. When I talk about evil, I'm talking about,
People that want to be put in jail for life, huh?
Oh, what's going to happen to the Nazis is a lot worse than that. Okay. I mean, even the Canadians, our little girl Canadians, when they come to one of these camps and they see what's happened, they're going to take a look and go, I'm not kidding. We see pictures of dead SS men all over in these camps, and the Canadians are the first ones to do it. The Russians, how come the Americans don't do that? You know what Americans do? You know what Americans did? They went to the healthiest of the surviving inmates, did this, pulled out the pistol, and said, "You do it." So a lot of that, and of course we'll have the Nuremberg trial for the bigwigs. Okay? I'm not kidding. This is nasty stuff. And we'll be hunting down the Nazis into, wasn't one of them just on trial and he finally died during his trial? One of the camp guards? Because they're getting really on the old side, like 98.
I know they're still hunting them up in the 2000s.
Oops, I blew that. Okay. Should not even erase that part. Yeah, they're hunting them into the, basically hunting them forever. But, the
They're
Like-
hunting for
like-
them even if they're dead.
huh?
They were ready to dig a couple up out of the ground.
Yeah,
That one's
just
so bad.
just gonna get, pee on their graves pretty much. Yeah, well, Mengele, they dug him out of the ground because they just wanted to make sure he was there, dead. The Syrians, basically the Assad regime held Kaltenbrunner, I think. They managed to keep him for a while. Basically, he ran, and they made sure just because it take off Israel. And Israel has only executed one person legally. I mean, they've killed lots of people, but only one person put on trial and executed, and that was Adolf Eichmann, who was the guy that made all this possible. He was the organizer. The guy was, Hitler loves me because I'm able to do this so efficiently. Put him on trial. Adios. Okay, so if you take a look on page 545, you take a look at the number. Just on the Jews, pre-Holocaust population of Europe, 9,067,000. Post-Holocaust population, 5,894,000. That's the, actually that's the number killed. But for almost 6 million Jews. But remember, lots of other people went through the camps too. Lots of other people went through the camps. I mean, they killed at least 2 or 3 million Russian prisoners of war too. Good guy got knocked down the population, man. Okay. So, what groups did Nazis single out for extermination? They got flat out industrial on this. So, let's see, this is number 5. I'm going to give you guys a break in a little bit here. Okay, first of all, number 1, Jews. Jews. Gypsies. Now, actually, I've seen gypsies spelled a few different ways. Let's see. How do they have that? How does this book do it? Okay, IES is going to use, because I've seen it spelled both ways. Gypsies, gays, handicapped. Okay, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, now I'll ask you.
Now, some of these guys aren't in the book, but others are. Freemasons. I've forgotten about the Freemasons. Freemasons. And we also have some more in here. Hey, John, are you getting this stuff? When is he over there?
He's finishing his work, it looks like. I didn't
Okay,
give
but
him
he's got to be
permission.
here because he's missed about a bunch of this part.
Why did they kill children?
Yes.
Well, because they're Jews.
Well, they
Right,
They
they
grow up to
could
be Jews.
they could turn the children into
No. You have to understand. It's like tainted.
What's
you know?
wrong with being
I mean,
a
they
Jew?
took out whole Jewish orphanages and right to the gas chamber.
I'm cool.
Okay? Because
Why?
Jews are Jews. Because they're racially
They
inferior.
weren't.
Because they want to be.
They weren't cool.
This,
Yeah, I told you. It's all race,
They
man.
didn't do anything.
But the thing of it is they're not. Why do you think Jesse Owens ticked off Hitler so much?
That was garbage, so
Have you seen that one yet? That movie is what was the name of that Jesse Owens movie?
I can't remember.
I don't see movies. The only movies I see is new.
Well, then I'm talking new one. This just came out like a few weeks ago. Jesse Owens movie, basically about him going to the 1936
Go
Berlin
back in
Olympics.
Time, huh?
Yeah.
Time travel.
No, it's the 1936 Berlin Olympics.
I don't watch movies.
He was
unless
there.
it's these two.
Okay, and
Is he
generally
still alive?
America usually did take African Americans to the Olympics.
Is he still
Okay, but we did, and because our racism was starting to go down at that time. But Germany, since they beat the crap out of the Germans in track and field, they were pretty upset.
Race.
Race, okay, and with 2 meanings, okay.
Mhm.
Racing, he said, there's 2 things. There's 2 types of people: the fast and the slow. Okay, so he was fast, but he was track and field. He just so much for the superior Germans. Okay, he outran them, he outjumped them, everything in track and field. Okay. So Freemasons, and let's see, I'm going to make sure I'm not skipping anybody. Jehovah's Witnesses, Gypsy. I think I got most of them. And
But those are all going to be singled out for extermination. They're going to just go field day killing people. Okay. How the Nazis go about exterminating the approximately 11 people who died in the Holocaust? 14 million is my, but you know, okay, the book wants to be but it's closer to 14 million than the episode of POWs. So,
Then why did you get a U.S. history book that barely knows anything?
well, the thing is, the history books. Well, this is kind of an issue. Yeah, this is okay. I'm not kidding. This is kind of an issue. See, some states want to whitewash stuff over, and some states just want to rip the Band-Aid off and show you the scar underneath. Okay, California is one of the ones that like to expose the truth. California's pretty good, but we use books that have to be used in other states. Also, sometimes the books are written in vague ways because we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty detail. That's college. Okay, we don't have time for that. Okay. Basically, I could break this course down into several college classes. Basically, America and the Revolution, America and the Sea, Jacksonian history. I'm just going about the class I know. Jacksonian history part 1, Jacksonian history part 2. Civil War America, that's 5 ones now. America during the Depression is a whole other class. So you get the idea, you can make about 12 or 15 different classes of American history to get you where you need. To get you to know pretty much all of it. So we just give you little bits. And when it says 11 million, I'm not sure if they're counting Russian POWs or not. Okay. But when I study stuff, sometimes the stuff I learn doesn't quite match up with the book. But the book isn't lying. Sometimes there's just disagreement. And when you're counting bodies during World War II, there's wide range for disagreement. Okay? Wide range. So, let's get going.
We did right.
When I'm done with this one, I'll give you a break. Okay?
Jews, what?
Okay. How'd they do it? Okay.
You're missing 3, 4.
Mass executions, extermination camps,
Once you learn all these kind of sandwiches, you're not going to work a whole bunch, but it's better than looking up cars. Well, you know.
slave labor being worked to death. Okay,
Okay, well, you're going to have to do it over the.
I'll put et cetera because there's a lot of other ways. Okay. Mass extermination.
What's that J word? Jehovah? I can't. My eyes playing tricks.
Yeah, just J.
J.
Jeho.
Okay.
VAH. That's Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's what they believe the
These are
God
a
is.
bunch,
Okay.
but it might, boost you up a couple grades, maybe to a C or something. That's worth it, right? It says A free. See? It just says A free. Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, we'll start with those. Let's not get all overloaded.
And free what?
You need to go to the English room and get those brackets. Okay. Mr. Rob.
They shot, they hung, they poisoned. A guy I knew watched some of the hanging. He was a guy I went to college with back in the 70s. He was an older guy, and he'd been a POW, and he'd escaped a few times from the camps, and each time they'd catch him and throw him back in the cooler for a while. Except the time he was gone 2 weeks, the camp commander was so impressed he just put him back in without a cooler period. The cooler is basically an isolation cell. But he saw see long lines of guys, standing and waiting to be hung. So you didn't quite understand how they could just stand there waiting to be hung. But if you're starved enough, you're beaten enough, you're looking at that as a release.
Mr. Barlow.
Go.
You want this one?
Now I'm going to try to give an American spin on this a little bit when we come back from our break. We're going to break until 9 o'clock.
Oh,
Okay. We've got a bit of a break there. Get a second right now. So, we have English over there right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want you to drop in and see how Crystal is doing.
Let me look. Weren't you supposed to leave a few hours ago?
No.
Oh.
Gee.
I don't know when you guys leave. I forget. I've never heard of this. Basically, it's made of rice, but it has rice in it. What are you doing?
No.
Excuse me.
Oh my crap. Mr. Barlow, did you hear back from the biology teacher about some of Tyler's grades? So we could get cracking on that one assignment if we knew what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No.
Alright, you guys need to be separated. So one of you needs to come out.
I wanted to go to the computer.
Out. Got a computer right there. Go.
Right there.
Oh.
Come on, go.
See? Things are in front of you. Hey, come on.
It has Minecraft on it.
Well, there you go. You like Minecraft? I have to say, I like Minecraft too.
That will make it safe.
Yeah? I like Legos, and I think Minecraft is
Yeah.
the same. Do you play video games, Danny?
I do with my brother.
You do?
Yeah.
Seems like video game things is really a boy thing, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know the address thing.
What is that sound?
That is cutting.
Oh,
Can you help me, sir?
You were worried?
No, I
If
didn't.
you have a Minecraft
Other-
address
yes, people
or
got
passport,
copies.
you have to type it in.
You need to be out here. You need to
I
ask
play
permission
Minecraft on
to
Xbox,
get
not
this on there.
computer. Wait, didn't you download it?
No.
But everybody else got copies. I didn't.
Oh.
You got that right there. 5 and 6 is right there right now. Okay.
Sounds like a mouse.
Oh yeah?
One heck of a mouse.
Like chewing through something.
Oh. I had mice in my garage last year. It's funny. I live right by, like, there's no more development behind me. It's just all fields. And my cat passed away. And
Done.
for like
Oh well.
within 5 days, I found a mouse.
What
in
about
my
that one
garage.
game you play all the time?
They moved in that quick.
Slither.
Can you get it on for me?
So that means
Open on Chrome.
dun 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 that you need another cat.
Down here?
Yeah, I that was last year. I have 2 now.
Or just open whatever browser you
My
have.
wife will not let me get another cat.
You're right. You're absolutely right. That is what I needed.
You don't have to double
I have
click on
never
the
lived
application.
long periods of time without a cat.
Really?
The last one
Right
passed,
Type it in.
oh, it's been 5
If you
years now.
want.
Yeah, it's been 5 years.
Since you had a cat?
Just click on the bookmark.
And that would be this?
Slither.
Where is it?
Personally,
You can't read?
No, I can't. Oh, there it is. I can't see very well.
You did. Yeah.
Press log
Well,
in. And you keep pressing it.
just had too many of them.
We had 5 of them, but we have possums that live in our backyard. So, because one of them
Thank you.
got bit, and so my mom just gave the rest of them away.
Oh. Where do you live, Anna?
I live 5-10 minutes away from the school, over by past Rayleigh's.
But you got possums?
Yeah.
It's loading.
Oh.
Do you have turkeys?
Huh?
Do you have turkeys?
No. I wish. We get raccoons.
Raccoons?
All
They sure are cute.
Try refreshing the page.
They eat the cat food.
Repeat.
Yep.
Okay.
I go out every
No,
morning at like
refresh it.
5,
Close it.
and there'll be a raccoon waiting for cat food.
So click out.
So,
No, press refresh.
I'm looking at you
Lucky
like,
for
you're
raccoons.
late. Where
right?
have you been?
Refresh button.
Oh. Thank you.
What? The sound?
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
And now I shall
Actually,
eat.
I don't know. Isn't it so strange how. Tyler, do you have any idea how the sound got turned off on the computer that you were using?
I use this computer.
Okay. I'm just gonna take that to mean you're not gonna tell us, and we'll have to
Yeah,
figure it out ourselves.
Well, that would be an administrative
La la
thing.
la 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 la.
Well,
Well, if you know
Why
Norman,
do you
I
always
can
think
help
you're
you.
smarter than everybody else? What do you do?
Because it's Tyler.
Yeah, it is Tyler. Okay.
If you're gonna ignore me, I can't help you, you know.
Anybody want? I got Q up in front of me. Anybody want their grades looked at, checked out? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it straight up? Yes.
Alright. Alright, John.
Yeah.
Nice picture, dude.
Horrible.
Whatever. Oh, check you out.
What?
A plus.
Oh.
A plus.
And what?
English.
Oh, well,
So many lies, all lies.
You have B in U.S. history. A minus in ceramics. Oh, hold up. I'm just not done.
Oh.
A minus in ceramics. A plus in reading. And that's all I have for you. Holy cow, dude. I need you to talk to my son, okay? About the importance of grades.
Okay, sure.
He has better grades than I do.
That's pretty good grades, huh? Anybody see Serena this morning?
Nope.
No.
Oh,
She doesn't ride the bus.
yeah, but sometimes, you know, you kiddos see each other
Yeah.
out and about.
And she would have texted me if she wasn't coming.
Oh, really? She sends like an informational
She
text.
always
I need to get on her mailing list so Mr. Barlow can know when she's not here.
There's a bug.
Yeah.
There's no sound on the computer.
Yeah, because it got turned off and somebody's not telling us how we did it. Let me check.
You can't just blame me.
Why not? We've been right every time.
I know how to turn the sound on. Guys. No, you. I could do this all day. Don't think I can't.
Why do people even do that? It ruins the whole game.
No. You're not Cajun now.
What?
He died.
All right, see here. I know how to turn the sound on.
Whoa, I have to tell one of my sons about that. It looks pretty cool.
How many kids do you have, Miss Davidson?
A million!
Really?
Counting you all?
Everyone, something is
I
on,
have
so it
two.
should work. I don't know why it's not working. Is this yours?
Oh, you know what, Mr.
No, that's
Barlow?
mouse pad.
I put something on pause up here. Xylan's back! Xylan's in the house!
I have to ask you a question.
Woo-hoo!
Maybe later, please.
Do you have the password? for
Hi,
Minecraft?
Zion!
Excuse me, Mr. Zion.
Oh,
No, how it works is you have to have your own account to sign into Minecraft. Everyone has their own account.
Yeah, but he's the one who put it on. That's what I'm asking. Excuse me, sir.
Everyone has their own account. It's like logging into the computer. Everyone has their own account.
Yeah, but can you use your Xbox account?
I don't think so.
I know, this guy's good
Xbox
on
and,
here. Here,
and
now,
computer
you
are
don't
two
work.
different
I'm
platforms.
There you
I've
go.
never
you,
played
oh
that
my
before.
gosh!
Xylan, did you put Minecraft on here?
Go for it, yeah.
Did? Because I found it on here.
Nice.
It might
I
have
put
been.
it on pause.
Okay.
It might have been
I believe
Ben
so.
put it on there.
Wait,
Oh.
is it been registered?
Well, I need a password
in your
and
preferences.
username.
Oh, then that's not mine. My name would have popped up already then.
Magically appeared.
Yeah, magically, it just does it itself.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hate that when that happens.
Maybe it's Avery's.
Or his.
Yeah, maybe.
Avery plays my
Hi, John.
Yeah, he does actually.
Hi, Jeremiah.
Okay, one more minute.
Hi,
It's
Jeremiah.
really scary.
I am a god.
Actually, something
Hello,
new.
Jeremiah.
You know Avery, right?
Jeremiah was a fool.
You're going?
He was a friend of mine.
Have a good day at work.
Yeah.
Oh, bye,
Come
Anna.
on, come on.
Anna, be careful at
John,
work.
you gotta go to work. Get out.
Wait, she just said it.
Watch to Anna. I'm like, have a nice day at work.
Oh.
Get out.
Well,
Let me see.
He doesn't have to go to work.
this is the
but
same
no
thing
one
that he
says
plays.
I know.
Don't you want to get paid? Holy cow.
I can take all your money.
Facebook.
Mother's Day is
It
coming,
doesn't
my
work
friends.
on the proxy server.
Prox us presents.
You have
I
to
wanna play.
choose Twitter.
No, click out of that. What are you doing? Wait.
There he goes.
Hang on. Click out of that.
Well, I'd be fine if you posted it because it's my
Okay,
Twitter.
time's up.
You waste my time. On purpose, didn't you?
There you go.
Bingo. Doesn't matter. I have to get off of it now. Wait, can I stay on
Get
it?
it out. I know John has to leave right when we figure out how to turn it back on.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
well,
run out
thank
to
you,
the
sir.
recycling.
For helping me.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, that was
Take a seat.
I got to play stinks.
How's it going? Yeah. Take a seat. Stefan, yeah. Have a seat. Oh, parts of it.
Got an hour.
Get out of here.
Another hour.
We're gonna allow. Have a seat.
He called me the P word.
Stefan. Yes. Okay.
Good.
Ruris incisus.
That snake game was fun. Thank you again for helping me get on it.
Oh, no problem.
Actually,
Why can't we just
let
chill?
me. Now let's play this up.
Can we just chill?
No,
Yes.
no, ever. Sorry.
Surge of isolationism, feeling whether we had gotten no reason for us becoming involved in World War I and made a mistake, and that there were a lot of debts which were owed by European countries, and the country went isolationist.
I'm the slightest idea of European affairs.
Let Europe fight their own battle. Another war, not for me. This time America can keep out, and I know I will. If war breaks out in Europe, I think that this country should heed the advice of its vice president and avoid all foreign entanglement.
In early 1940, Britain's ambassador in Washington reported that 9 out of 10 Americans were determined to keep America out of the war. A few, like the American Nazi Party, were even determined that America should aid Britain's enemy. Our country was enormously divided. There was the America First movement, which was advocating isolationism. On the other hand, there was the William Allen White Committee, the Committee to Defend America by Aiding the Allies. It was on the other side. We had these curious voices such as Charles Lindbergh's and so on, which are the voices of isolationism.
In the past, we have dealt with a Europe dominated by England and France. In the future, we may have to deal with a Europe dominated by Germany. If we desire to keep...
Charles Lindbergh, thanks to his extraordinary exploit, was a very popular figure. He was almost a folk hero. And so he would have influence. I suppose that celebrities of all characters do have influence, otherwise they wouldn't be endorsing products all the time.
But it should not involve the internal affairs of Europe. They never were and never will be carried on according to our desires.
There was a strong anti-British antipathy in certain parts of the country. It was felt that Britain was trying very hard to drag us into its war.
1940 was a presidential election year in the United States, and Roosevelt's main concern that summer was to get himself re-elected.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 22nd Convention of the Republican Party will now come to order. Even as we meet, lights are going out in Europe. Blackouts of dictators take the place of lighthouses of free men. Ours is the grave responsibility to preserve the lighthouses of liberty. In the name of the people I place in nomination that young American, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
After France's fall, most Americans were disposed to aid Britain in some way, but still more were strongly opposed to entering the war on Britain's side.
Third-term candidate has not kept faith with the American people.
Roosevelt's opponent in the presidential election that autumn was an out-and-out anti-war candidate, Wendell Phillips.
To keep our boys out of foreign wars is no better than his promise to balance the budget. They're already almost on the transport.
But with the Nazis triumphant everywhere, Roosevelt couldn't afford to wait to be re-elected before putting America on some sort of war footing.
The Congress has debated without partisanship and has now enacted a law establishing a selective method of augmenting our armed forces. We must and we will marshal our great potential strength to fend off war from our shores. More than 16 million young Americans are reviving the 300-year-old American custom of the muster, by which from the earliest colonial times, every able-bodied citizen was subject to the call for service in the national defense. The first number drawn by the Secretary of War is serial number 158. I'm honored to be one of those first 12, and I'll try very hard to make a real control.
And I'm proud of you.
If you elect me President of the United States, I shall never send an American boy to fight in any European war. I consider it a public duty to answer clarifications with facts. I will not pretend that I find this an unpleasant duty. I am an old campaigner and I love a good fight.
Roosevelt got his good fight. So to stay in the race, he had promised, like his opponent, not to send American boys to fight in foreign wars. November the 5th, 1940, was election day. And by midnight, America's choice of president for another 4 years was clear.
The results are now conclusive. Roosevelt wins.
Now re-elected, Roosevelt felt he had a mandate to give Britain all aid short of war. But he could only move slowly, for America was still deeply divided.
Many of the war measures, such as steps to give aid to Britain at a time when England was standing alone and was beleaguered, many just squeaked by in Congress. Even a program of armament, of preparedness, was military preparedness, got through Congress on very, very close votes, 1-vote margins in a total of 400 votes.
Then the extraordinary piece of legislation, which was Lend-Lease, was proposed in December of 1940, then that came law in March of 41. And under that, the President did everything he possibly could to give aid to Britain. And my instructions, when I went over to represent him, were very simple, very brief. They were to contact the British government to find out what we could do to help Britain short of war. And we began at once doing all sorts of things which were not really neutral under the literal interpretation. For instance, we were preparing British naval vessels in American ports and We escorted your convoys across the Atlantic as far as Iceland. We transferred 2 million tons of ships.
The immediate problem was to get people to understand what it was. In this, I think Mr. Roosevelt's very simple analogy of lending our neighbor a fire hose when there's a fire was the most persuasive kind of simple illustration.
People of Europe who are defending themselves do not ask us to do their fighting. They ask us for the implements of war, the planes, the tanks, the guns, frigates, which will enable them to fight for their liberty and our security. We must be the great arsenal of democracy. For us, this is an emergency as serious as war itself.
In those days, the business community regarded Roosevelt as at a minimum as a major deputy of the devil, and Roosevelt was deeply suspicious of the businessmen, so that the people who were associated with the mobilizing of the war had a divided interest. Some of them felt that their main purpose in being in Washington was to put a curb on the socialist excesses of the New Deal. Some of them were uneasy about being there. They had something of the feeling of people who were playing in an orchestra in a brothel. And there was also a great unwillingness. We hear now about the military-industrial complex. In those days, there was a great unwillingness to convert from civilian industry. There was a feeling that war production would be a very unprofitable business. We would lose markets for automobiles, for tires, for chemicals, and so forth. There was a problem with some of the unions up until June of 1941, until Russia was in the war, and in the days of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. There was foot dragging on the part of some of the union leaders. There were strikes.
4 times as many workers were on strike in 1941 as in the United States. That spring, nearly 500,000 coal miners struck for almost a month, while on the West Coast, a walkout that summer at North American Aviation delayed deliveries of planes to Britain for several weeks. It took troops to get production moving. But although Roosevelt was still reluctant to lead America into war, the war was now catching up with America. June 11, 1941, an American freighter, the Robin Moore, was sunk by a U-boat. Roosevelt used this as a pretext for occupying Iceland and relieving the British garrisons there. September the 4th, the U.S. destroyer Greer was attacked by a U-boat near Iceland. Roosevelt now told his Navy to shoot on sight. October the 16th, the U.S. destroyer Kearney was struck by a German torpedo while escorting a convoy in mid-Atlantic, and 11 of her crew were killed. Roosevelt used this incident to push through Congress the repeal of the Neutrality Act.
We have wished to avoid shooting, but the shooting has started, and history has recorded who fired the first shot. In the long run, however, all that will matter is who fired the last shot.
The repeal of our Neutrality Act will be the last step on the road to war. If we load our ships with contraband of war and send them into combat zones, they will most certainly be sunk. And that means war. A war which, in the opinion of many of us, although designed to save democracy abroad, will surely destroy it at home right here in America.
On October the 30th, the U.S. destroyer Reuben James was sunk with a loss of 115 lives.
Officers and all hands forward and perished. Myself and 45 men were all alive.
But despite pressure from Churchill, who dearly wanted America in the war, Roosevelt now did nothing. It was becoming clear it would take much more than the drowning of 100 or so American seamen to bring America into the war.
There was even sentiment, I remember this being expressed to the effect that England would fight to the last American.
There were steps that were developing, the gradual steps to be sure, somewhat comparable to the steps that took place in World War I. You know, one incident after another. I remember the torpedoed Sussex got us excited, and then there was the Lusitania episode. In the same way, I think that with the moves that Mr. Roosevelt were making, the cash and carry program that he had, the protection of the convoys, the destroyer deal, one thing and another were occurring that would be apt to produce, I think, an incident that would set the war off.
The incident, when it came, was massive, and it came in an unexpected place. Pearl Harbor.
All Army and Navy bases on the island of Oahu in Hawaii are now under air attack. For the latest news, keep tuned to this station.
I found that my superior, who was in charge of all of the civilian operations of the war, was away. So I was then sent on to the great meeting of the wartime leaders that convened in Washington on the night of Pearl Harbor. I remember my sense of mission in going into that meeting. We had also seen the war coming. Here was the day, and here was the hour, and here was I attending the meeting with the other great men. We got to the meeting, and the other great men, myself included, were one hell of a disappointment, because nobody could think of anything to say or do. And it seemed like a good idea to see what materials were threatened by the Japanese advance. Everybody was coming in during the course of this, some in sport jackets and some in tennis shoes. And it became terribly evident that nobody had any real information as to where these strategic commodities came from. And eventually the whole discussion bogged down, I remember, on the question of Kapok. Kapok, everybody thought was a strategic, it was clearly listed as a strategic material. It evidently came from that part of the world, and nobody could think, for God's sake, what the stuff was used for.
I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
Even now, Roosevelt couldn't bring himself to ask that the United States declare war on Germany, although Britain had already allied herself with the US against Japan. But Hitler decided for him.
For some unexplained reason, Hitler declared war on the United States, which relieved Roosevelt of all of his difficulties.
I was practicing law in Chicago at that time. That is, at the time of Pearl Harbor. And I can tell you that if Hitler had not made this decision, if he had simply done nothing, that there would have been enormous sentiment in the United States, in many parts of the United States, that the Pacific War now was our war, that the European war was for the Europeans, and that we should concentrate all our efforts against the Japanese.
Oh, give me land, lots of land on the starry skies above. Don't fence me in, let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in.
People were selling their homes at a fraction of their value. They were certain that the West Coast would be under attack, that we'd be bombed here. There were even blackouts along the West Coast as there were along the East Coast. And there were even some false alerts here.
Not everybody took these precautions seriously. To European eyes, America's going to war had moments both ludicrous and familiar.
Living among us are those we call aliens. We must remember that our parents, or our grandparents, or our great-grandparents all were aliens in their day. If you believe you have knowledge of any improper activity of any alien, you should report the fact to the nearest FBI office. Don't try to be the law yourself.
There was a tremendous change, the change being that we were the same individuals prior to December 7th. December 8th, when we went to school, many of our classmates and friends called us dirty Japs, teased us, harassed us, and our so-called friends were no longer friends.
In the First World War, as you know, the Germans were hated thoroughly, and there was a great deal of discrimination and harassment of the Germans. In the Second World War, they were at war with three different nationalities: the Italians, the Germans, and the Japanese. And I remember that Thomas Mann and Bruno Walter spoke up for the Germans and said they couldn't be removed because this would be the last despair, having led Nazi Germany to be again put into a concentration camp. And Joe DiMaggio's mother spoke up, and that was a very moving effect in San Francisco, I remember. But the Japanese had really nobody. I think the picking on the Japanese was partly a kind of a logistically rational thing that the army could handle. They said, no, we can't handle the Germans, but we can handle the Japanese. After all, they couldn't have moved all the Germans and the Italians in this country. They would have had to move half the people out of New York City. I mean, it would have been ridiculous.
These people have always been rather unpopular because they competed with the American farmers in truck gardening and things of that kind and worked very much harder and cultivated their land very much more efficiently. So that a lot of people took advantage of their situation to create antipathy toward them. And the government acted hastily and rather brutally. It's not a very attractive chapter.
More than 100,000 Japanese Americans were interned en masse, mostly those on the West Coast, whereas the 600,000 German and Italian Americans were treated individually.
Although we had heard rumors of an evacuation, we didn't realize that it was going to indeed take place. We were told that we could only take what we could carry. Evacuees had three choices. They either had to sell their property, abandon it, or store it. And in many cases, because of the uncertainty of the situation, many people just disposed of their property as best as they could. We were then put on buses and taken to assembly centers. From the assembly centers, we lived in horse stalls or in quickly made tar paper barracks. The mental anguish that my mother went through, having 4 of her sons in the service of the United States government and having her husband labeled a dangerous enemy alien. We had guards, watchtowers, machine guns. It was a picture of incarceration. We felt that we were prisoners in our own country.
And it wasn't in the authority of our agency to stop the sale of rubber tires, so we drew up an order anyway. And we had an anonymous young man circulated through all the offices in the Office of Production Management that had to clear all pieces of paper. It was already very bureaucratic. Walked in with this, here's the tire order, sir. Everybody signed it. And we froze the whole nation's stock of rubber tires.
Everybody got work. This was very much appreciated after the long, deep depression of the 1930s. You might have thought that inflation would have been the major problem, because in most countries, in most wars, it's always been a major problem. But very early, we mobilized, we put in rationing, and although there was a small amount of grumbling, it's amazing how well the rationing system worked.
I think there was a tendency to accept shortages, and there was one exception. People were very resistant to gasoline rationing. Clothing shortages, food shortages, coffee, sugar, people would accept. But there was no form of rascality, chicanery, thievery, larceny that people wouldn't engage in to get extra gasoline. I think the thing that they most resented was the extreme youth of many of us who were doing it. The Office of Price Administration, as I look back on it, must have been very hard to take. I was then 31. David Ginsburg, my immediate associate general counsel, was 29. And most everybody else was younger than we were, including Richard Nixon, who was one of the more obscure employees of the agency.
There's a famous wartime picture of Sewell Avery, a great tycoon of the last age, who was the head of Montgomery Ward and who had brought it out of the Depression, being carried out of his office by 2 American soldiers in uniform because he wouldn't comply with the War Labor Board.
Our war program for the coming fiscal year will cost $56 billion. That means taxes and bonds, and bonds and taxes.
We have a school with each other, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. $22.50. This is really a handsome thing to have. You're getting this as a premium for a lower amount of $2,250. So it's really a good purchase for anybody. Hope is looking at the shoe. He may increase his bid to $22.55. You're going to come up a little, aren't you, probably?
Our enemies aren't pushovers. They're savage, skillful, and relentless. They've trained for years for just this chance to enslave the world, and that's just what they intend to do. And they'll use every trick and tool. But on the other hand, they aren't supermen. They didn't come down from Mars. They can be licked, and they will be licked by men.
We fought in 1917, bumped it up, down, and drove that pirate from the sea, bumped it up, down. We're in a bigger, better world, we are patriotic sunshine. We don't know what we're fighting for, but we didn't know the last time. So the cannons all the play, bumped it up, down. Come on and join the big parade.
In the hands of a treacherous foe that brought my husband to his death. And if I can qualify as an airplane worker at Vegas, and with my hands help to keep him flying, I will feel that I am carrying on for him.
Here's the food ring, calling one and all to the march of swing. Strike up
our share, but we're going to do infinitely more than we have done. We have in our town today 2 mothers, each of whom has given 2 sons already. And as I said before, we'll give our sons, we'll give our lives, but by the help and grace of God, we will not give up a free America or our democratic way of life.
On the night of Pearl Harbor, one man had been happy. Winston Churchill, for now he knew Britain was safe. A few days later, he journeyed to Washington to make sure the war was going to be fought on the British plan of Europe first and the Pacific second, and to cement the new Anglo-American alliance.
What kind of a people do they think we are? Is it possible they do not realize that we shall never cease to persevere against them until they have been taught a lesson which they and the world will never forget?
Time, Churchill knew, was on the Allies' side. With America's industrial might behind them, they could not lose. 1942 began badly for the Americans in the Pacific. Manila, capital of the Philippines, fell to the Japanese on January the 1st. The Japanese pushed the American forces on the Philippines back into the narrow peninsula of Bataan. The American plan was to hold out there for 6 months or so until reinforcements came. But the reinforcements never did come, and nor had Bataan been really prepared for a siege. The American troops besieged at Bataan had no air support, were short of medical supplies, and their morale was poor. Even their commander-in-chief, General MacArthur, had left them for safer shores. Their bitter ballad, "We are the battling bastards of Bataan. No mama, no papa, no Uncle Sam. No aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no nieces, no pills, no planes or artillery pieces. And nobody gives a goddamn." Cock-a-hoop with the ease of their victories so far, the Japanese called on the Americans beleaguered in Bataan to surrender.
The war in the Philippines and calling the attention of everyone, everywhere. Everyone, everywhere, all Filipinos and Americans all over the country. All of you Filipinos.
They tried leaflets too, aimed mostly at the Filipino soldiers among the American forces. The Japanese closed in for the kill.